All right.
Okay, it started. We're here. Are
Okay.
we doing the gimmick?
We're, if you want,
I don't know. Did we drop it? I feel like we dropped
I don't know. I feel like we're still trying to find our gimmick.
it. Okay, fair enough.
I
Uh,
don't know.
hey, we're here.
Hey,
Hey, Mike.
it's time to talk
It's
again.
it's talking time.
That's us.
That's our
We
new. That's the
got
name of the
two guys
podcast. We're changing it.
like to talk.
Talking time with Mike and Ollie. Uh, we got
Yeah,
nowhere to go, but we got time to talk. That's the
that's right. I mean, what the hell else are we gonna do?
Actually, that's quite accurate. uh, yeah. So today we're gonna talk about well, we're gonna work through a thing. I think it's
Yeah,
kind of the thing. Yeah. We have a topic that we kind of want to talk about, but we don't know how to talk about it, and we're gonna figure it out. And
yeah. Going
and
through the process.
yeah, which is I think also interesting. So that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
But we're kind of talking about I don't even know how to like name it. I guess
Game. Okay, we're talking about
we're
games.
definitely talking
So
about games. Yeah, but we're talking about like it's like types of games, but yeah, types of games, I guess. Not
types of games, how you control games, and just like
yeah.
ways you interact with games and such.
I guess control
Right?
schemes would be a
Yeah,
good
control
way.
scheme.
Yeah, because it's not
Yeah,
necessarily a genre, but these things tend to be tied to genres. So
right.
um, we're gonna try to parse that out and just talk about what we. I don't even know. We're not rating things. We're gonna try to define terms. I think is the idea. Because there's a lot of ambiguity and a lot of these like even just talking about genres there's so much crossover it gets kind of wonky um
Right.
and I don't always know how
That's
useful those things are anyways but um
yeah,
yeah
yeah.
so
It's really hard to accurately describe and break down a game sometimes because like a lot of games these days, games are getting more and more complex. A lot of games borrow a lot of different uh, genres and combine them all into one.
yeah
So
yeah yeah so the we broke it down to uh five control schemes and
right.
they're also tied to camera control in some aspects so the five are
Mhm.
side scroller turn based first person shooter, which I'm already okay. We'll have contention on that. Anyways, third
All right.
person, and then management slash like RTS or strategy. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So let's start with the one you hate, side scrollers. Why do you hate side scrollers, man?
I don't hate side scrollers.
No, no, come
Actually,
on,
I
bring it on.
like
Bring the
this.
hate. Bring the hate.
Okay, here's what we got to talk about with side scrollers. I don't like the move left and right. It's just simple as
That's it.
that. Just kidding. But
I hate
I don't
the
know. I
X
didn't
axis.
really and, like even like as a kid, like playing side scrollers on like the Super Nintendo or the the Genesis. I had one of those, or my mom had one,
Yeah.
and I usually would end up watching my mom play games and stuff like that, and just enjoying that. Um,
Let me just say that's
but
dope, by the way. Like
yeah,
my mom played like Duck Hunt with me for a bit and then once
uh,
it was like, "Oh, you got to press two buttons at once." She's like, "I'm out. I'm not doing this." I'm like,
yeah, yeah. My mom enjoyed those games like that. Like she had a Game Boy herself, and I watch her play that sometimes too. But like I mostly watch her play like the side-scrolling games, and it's a funny thing because it's still kind of like a thing for me today, is where instead of really playing side scrollers, I just like enjoy watching them being played, and they're usually typically very gorgeous looking games out there, all side scrollers. Um, a great pixel art, great just art in general. Like typically side scrollers are just very good looking games.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, agreed.
and so I think for me personally, why it is hard for me to get into a side scroller is because when gaming and playing games and interacting with games, I typically gravitate to games where you're either the character's locked in the middle of the screen or your focal point is the center of the screen.
Mm.
So you have your focal point is shifting all over the screen. I tend to struggle with that, and I can't really like adapt as fast going into those types of games, especially when it's like I find a lot of side scroller games typically demand a lot of precision as far as like platforming or just being in the right space at the right time of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So um, yeah, I typically struggle with that and I get frustrated. So I tend not to enjoy playing side scrollers.
Yeah,
So
there's yeah. The I mean, there was a time when like ultra hard precision platforming was all a buzz, like Super Meat Boy and games like that. And
yeah, yeah,
I've
can't
not
can't do
enjoyable.
that.
I'm not into hurting myself.
Yeah, the one hit, you're done.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah. I mean, to be
Yeah,
fair, that's kind of Mario too, but you get extensions right on your life,
right, right.
and
Mario is
reward you for
definitely
that.
much more accessible.
Yeah, like Mario's a weird. It's so like in between. It can be really tough sometimes, and then other times it can be really like approachable and doable,
Hmm.
and it scales nicely. But yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, there's a lot more you can do when you have like a static background, for example.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of it's a lot easier to teach through play when you do side scrolling stuff because it's usually like you know, uh, even like you can add verticality to it and whatnot, but it's usually like get from start in one direction, go to another, head towards another. You can repeat elements in the environment many times and it doesn't feel out of place or you know cheap or
Hmm.
gimmicky. And it's really there's a lot you can do, and you don't have to. Not that you don't, but there's less of an emphasis on what's the word, on imitating three dimensionality. If that's, you know what I mean. Like
Like a 2.5D sort of thing.
yeah, like you don't. Yeah, it can be flat, and it
Hmm.
seems more acceptable to be flat because there's different techniques you can use to give the sense of depth. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, what would you say like about like a beat 'em up because that's technically like a side scroller.
Yeah, I struggle with those as well.
Okay.
Especially like with like co-op ones that like that I do find them fun. Like they can be fun just to fuck around with a friend, but like um I always lose track of my character.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm mostly just mashing the button and not really like like not really thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like just mashing and holding left or right, just like
Right.
just so. Like again, it can be fun still, especially with friends. But because recently we played that Ninja Turtles, what is it, Shredder's Revenge or
Yeah.
something?
I guess we're not playing that
Yeah.
again. Huh? Okay,
I well,
damn.
uh, we can negotiate.
And they go, what the fuck? What?
I don't know, make
Okay.
a deal or something.
All right. Sweeten the pot here.
Yeah, it's not
How
that
about
big.
what if I introduce a little bit of Casey Jones into this? Huh? How do you feel about?
All
Um,
right, all right, okay.
yeah, I feel you though. Yeah, there's also like this kind of shit. I would even say like a shooter, like a classic shooter. Top down. Um, I mean, not like Space Invaders, but something that's a little wilder, like Ikaruga. Did you ever play that? Oh, God.
I've seen it,
Oh my
not
god,
played it.
I've
Yeah,
I had it for the
the
Dreamcast.
bullet hells, right?
Yeah, bullet hell type. Oh my god, I'm to this day I've never gone past like the third level because I'm just like
Yeah,
I can't. And
yeah. Those games are designed to eat your quarters at an
yeah,
arcade, right? So
but like for me, the attempt is enough. I'm like, no, that's fun. I know I'm not gonna make it. Sometimes it's just I
yeah,
just want to goof around and see how far I can get.
yeah.
Um,
It's kind of like just being bewildered by as a part of the experience. It's just
mhm.
like, oh my god,
Oh yeah, it's just like
Jesus.
here are the odds. You're like, why?
Yeah,
But but
this is a bullet hell,
but there is like like the amount of movement that happens and having to like account for your movement as opposed to the other elements moving towards you or avoiding elements, whether they're NPCs or enemies. um yeah, I do wish that there were more games that took advantage of the perspective, having that kind of flatness and using that to like I don't know. It seems like the safe bet is to make a platformer, right? But
Right.
it's pretty rare that you see a game that is slower in that setting,
Hmm.
right? Or that is not score focused or something like that, right? Not as arcadey, I guess. But that's just kind of like a historical thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think overall fine, it's an okay genre. It feels almost like default, right? Like it's kind of like
Right. Right. It's
um,
the base, a foundation
right,
point for video games, right?
yeah,
So, and I mean, if you think about it, I feel like side scrolling is kind of like a derivative of like a maze, right? Designing mazes, right?
yeah,
Um, and building games around that sort of mentality
yeah. And I
is
think
definitely applicable.
it also like Mario 3, right? It's a stage play, and I think that kind of lends to it, like this idea of like
Oh yeah, yeah, for
it's on a
sure.
television. How do you like how do you
Hmm.
direct the viewer, right? And there's like already like a kind of like an established language that the somebody watching a TV already understands, right? And that's
Right.
borrowed from theater, right? And so
Hmm.
like I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't watch TV in the states, or I don't know what's popular. I don't whatever. But like
I don't watch TV either.
yeah, but like sitcoms or they're just stage plays, right? They're just like they're
Yeah.
literally on a sound stage, right? And they're
Yeah.
people are coming in left and exiting right, that whole thing. Um
Right.
it all plays to that in a way, and Miyamoto, like whatever, being on the train, seeing the mountains and whatnot, um, just kind of having that flat screen and being like, okay, what can I put on this? There's there's it's a it almost feels like an evolution, or not an evolution, but there's already a foundation, so it's kind of building upon that language that people understand, and then you get
Hmm.
something like the D-pad where it's very much like this is a flat surface and these are four directions you can move, right?
Right.
So
Right.
same as like a
Exactly.
maze type thing too. um you're moving across the screen in these four directions, very simple.
Yeah.
Pong is the same thing,
Very,
right?
very accessible. Right.
Right, up and down, it all makes sense. You're just playing tennis, up and down, and you're just trying to match something, right? um
Hmm.
but yeah, but I think that also is a good segue. That was a bad segue. This is a good segue to the next control scheme, or I guess mechanical scheme. And it gets weird now, but
Right. Right.
the idea of like
Yeah.
turn-based games,
It's,
right? Um,
right.
and maybe
It's a means of interacting. The main gameplay mechanic,
I don't know
right?
what the title of this fucking podcast is going to be. It's not going to make any
These
sense.
guys talk
Yeah. um,
about games.
yeah, I guess. I think turn-based, like, is building off the foundation of like board games, essentially.
Right.
Um, and almost, I want to say it leans more, even though it's not common. I think it leans more to the idea of multiple players, or it comes from that. But just in video games, we find the multiple players is you and the computer rather
Right.
than
Yeah. A lot of RPGs take advantage of that, where single player RPGs where you have a party or you build a party
hmm,
and you have turn-based mechanics around that.
yeah, which honestly I like. Like we've been playing a bit of For the King lately. I say lately, it's been a
Yeah.
bit, but just
Yeah.
having like that board game feel, that kind of the multiplayer aspect to turn based, I think really enhances it. Um,
Hmm.
but unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but it just happens to be that in my opinion or in my experience, the games that stand out the most in that scheme would are not multiplayer games. So it'd be like the Final
Hmm.
Fantasies, the
Right.
traditional ones,
Right.
not the MMOs, uh, the Dragon Quests, the
Right.
I don't know. There's a billion of them.
I think what it is like, if you think about it, like um for a turn-based game, like the momentum of a turn-based game can typically just be at leisure, right?
Sorry.
So like that's an accessible means of like getting into something because like you're not pressured, right? you're kind of just going at your own pace.
Mm.
Um, but that also kind of like becomes like a antithetical to like being in a space of with multiple people trying to enjoy the same game,
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, man, do your turn. I want to play,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. So it's like it's an interesting aspect of that because like it turn-based RPGs definitely almost lend more to the single player experience
Right.
than
So
the group.
yeah, so like an example of that was we were playing for the King, and
Mhm.
we were trying to stream it, but I got Liv in on it to play as well. And
Right.
but in order for her to hear the conversations we were having, she had to
Gotcha.
plug in her headphones into her controller. We didn't realize that it was making this terrible noise on the stream.
Yeah, something glitching pretty
Yeah,
bad
so
there.
it basically the stream was unusable. But like we are like, all right, well like unplug and then we'll just try to recover it. And then after as soon as we unplugged it, she was just like, yeah, all right, I'm not that into it now. It's like because the fun
Yeah,
wasn't
the
the game as
momentum's gone.
much. It was like the interactions we were having in response to the game, right? Um,
Mhm.
and that makes it really cool. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'd ever play this alone. Honestly, I don't think I'd play For the King solo because maybe
Yeah.
I'd get some stuff, but it's just like, eh, I'd rather be with friends. This seems like a tabletop game. This seems like something
Right.
you want to sit across from somebody in some fashion. Um,
Mhm.
like maybe I'd play with her, but yeah,
Yeah.
just that kind of thing for sure. But another recent another recent experience I had. I've been playing. I finally beat Monster Hunter Stories 2, and it has an online multiplayer component.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
and so I was trying that out because I was kind of stuck at the last boss, and I was trying to grind out a bit. But I was like, let me just check out this stuff that I'd never really dove into. And it was cool to have like you're basically dungeon crawling with other players, but the combat takes such a like a I mean, it could. I don't think it was just the internet connection thing. I play with some Japanese players as well. So I'm in Japan, and so like it's not a latency issue, but it's just like it really kills the momentum even of the slower turn-based game.
Yeah.
Because it was like waiting for their move. You have a minute to wait, blah blah. And I'm just like, oh my god, I'm like
Yeah.
snoring over here. Um, and I think stories is I can't really think of other examples, but it is a hell of a like translation of what the Monster Hunter games and the flow of gameplay and flow of hunting and stuff is like. It's such a good translation to another genre or another control scheme that like I hate that it failed in the thing that I think Monster Hunter does even better than most games, which is multiplayer. And I was like,
Right. The
man, that
co-op experience.
yeah, I was like, that really sucks because like I love collecting things. I love gathering in Monster Hunter Stories. I love the battles. I love having to think about monster parts. What am I hitting? You get you're thinking about status, all the typical RPG stuff, but in a turn-based environment and like it's it translates really well. The music, the look, everything is it's you look at it, you're like, that's a Monster Hunter game. There's no way around it. But then you get to the multiplayer, it's just like, all right, yeah, take your turn. like,
Yeah.
uh, um,
Yeah. And we're talking about subjective things here. Some
sure.
people are totally fine with that, obviously.
And they're wrong, Mike. They're wrong.
And
I'm
they're
kidding.
wrong. No, we can't say that.
It's like,
No.
yeah, I'll say what I want. It's my podcast. Who's gonna stop
Oh
me?
my god.
All right. Anyway.
Okay, you can't say this, folks. I'm
If you disagree with me, you have to comment somehow. I need to benefit from it. All
Yeah,
right, leave a
yeah.
comment. Tell me I'm wrong.
Sorry. Sorry, folks. You gotta comment.
You gotta. That's the rule. You can't disagree with me quietly. It must
So
be
yeah,
loud and abrasive.
but yeah. So I'm inclined to agree that for the most part, there's a lot of co-op examples for turn-based games that don't work as well as if they were just single player, right?
Yeah.
So like ideally you want that experience to work really well because it's a cool aspect because a lot of like turn-based RPGs are just enjoyable games. It's like you think about it and just like, man, it'd be so cool if I could enjoy this game with another friend at the same time, that
Right.
kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
But doesn't always work out just based on the flow of it and how you want to experience the game. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think turn-based is excellent, just a means of control as far as like just how it engages you, how it allows you to the time to think about things, and how it allows you to uh, just to do other things as well. It's been a pet peeve of mine for certain games in like recent years to just like always be online, that kind of thing, where you
Yeah.
can't even pause the game. It's like,
Same.
oh God.
It's
I
yeah.
don't want to feel that pressure of just like I want to put the controller down for a few minutes. I'm gonna walk away and not, I don't want to worry about what's happening in the game right now. Okay, please. I don't want that pressure. It's a game. I want to chill. I want to relax.
Yeah.
That kind of.
I also
So
don't I hate having to be like I can't like get called for something like, hey, can you help me out? Like I can't right now because I'm my fantasy person here is busy doing like it just feels like a shit justification for anything. But then I'm like, no, you
yeah,
don't. I'm losing my time investment will be gone if I fuck this up and I can't pause because other
yeah,
strangers are depending on me. Like, what the fuck
that's
am I
right.
doing? It's such a weird like I don't know. It messes with my brain a bit. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think pausing is really important for games
right,
generally. And also like having just the ability to stop and strategize, I think is really um rewarding. I think it's like
right.
even like even some games they'll have like an active battle system like a Chrono Trigger or I can think of like a Grandia has like everybody has their own, like timer for when they can, do an action or whatnot. And
Yeah,
and then your stats change, affect that timer if you have a high speed stat or something, right?
right, right.
And that's super cool. But having like being able to like if not just like in Grandia's case, you get to look at the field. So you like you're positioning to the enemies. Like how do I explain? Like if you do an attack, you have to depending on the type of attack or your weapon or whatnot, you have to get up close to the enemy to do it. If they're far away, you might not have enough steps to get there. So you might
Yeah,
want to use a turn just to move closer, and then your next turn will come up faster because you didn't do a real like a full action or something like that.
right,
That kind
right,
of stuff
right.
is like super fun for me. Um,
Yeah,
and because it's not so much, and I think this is one of the hallmarks and the benefits, or I don't know how to explain it, but one of the things that turn-based games excel at is that it's less skill intensive as much as it is like mind intensive, right? Like if you
right.
strategize enough, if you take your time and you prepare, and rightfully anticipate, you're rewarded big time.
Right. Hmm.
Whereas like other games, like we can go back to like side scroller, like a Mario, like there's a little bit of anticipation and strategy, but
Right. Yeah. That's more about like precision.
yeah, it's performance based, right?
Right.
It's like
Right. Skill.
how good are you at it? Whereas like turn
Yeah.
based for the most part is like okay, uh, when I'm fighting a zombie in Final Fantasy, it's like dude, it's dead. Throw a potion at it. Throw a phoenix down. You'll kill it. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, I
A
needed that Phoenix down.
multiple.
Damn it, crap. Things like that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a really cool benefit. And again, I'm gonna harp on it. It's better with friends. It's just better with friends when you get to do that. But it's got to work, right? It's got to work.
Right.
So um,
Yeah. It's not an easy combination to make work.
yeah, even like I would say a really fun thing too is certain games might let you make like a campaign type thing for your friends. And again, going back to board games and like D&D
Mhm.
type stuff, like
Right. Right.
pulling from that is really cool. And I remember in like Advance Wars for the DS, I think you had like a map maker. You can make your own maps and like you can download it. Your friends can download it from DS to DS and they can play it. And I thought that was always cool. You could do
Mhm.
multiplayer in that too, and it was like snappy, so it was cool. Um, yeah, I don't know about the new Advance Wars or the remake. I haven't played it because I'm
Yeah. Me
broke.
either.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
think it'd be really I think that's the advantage of turn based, and then the disadvantage, it's the same thing. It's that it's like slow,
Yeah.
and it's easy to get
Yeah,
disengaged.
you have to be in the right mindset.
Yeah,
That goes for every type of control scheme, really. There's definitely, it's the subjective part of it where
yeah.
what are you feeling most to be engaged by at that time,
But for
right?
me, a
So,
lot of it, like what holds me to like say the turn-based combat style of a game is always the stakes. So it's like the story's
mhm,
got to be like, usually you got to build up to like a big battle, and then like I get into it. Like
right,
yesterday I was
right.
fighting the final boss, and I was like pacing, around my tiny apartment. I'm just going back and forth, like, come on, get the critical, come on, because even though it's not a performance thing, it's like you're hoping
Yeah,
that luck stat is good enough. You can pull things
right.
off, but it
All
was
about the chance and
yeah,
luck.
but it was like why was it important? It's like because everyone's counting on you. Like oh my god, I gotta be the guy, right? Like that
Yeah.
kind of thing, or and that's another great thing about turn-based games is that it gives you a lot of control over pacing, which is really cool. That
Yeah.
a lot of other games I think are control schemes kind of struggle with.
Hmm.
And then you get led into just like FMVs, right? Which which
Yeah.
is fine. A lot of turn-based RPGs do that too, right? Um,
Hmm.
but like there's something about like a mid-battle, you know, conversation that is like really exciting, but
Right.
breaks the immersion when you're doing like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if you're in it depends. It depends how they do it, right? There's just ways around it.
Hmm.
Like I'm thinking about like I'm trying to think of an example of a bad one. I can only think of examples of good games that do that. but
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, if it keeps with the pacing, you
Hmm.
know, and then it works. That's how it works. And turn-based games are very easy to dictate that type of pacing. You have
Yeah.
much more control over that. So,
Right.
anyways,
I
turn-based,
mean,
good.
yeah, I have a bit of a funny story based on turn-based stuff,
Mm,
and it's an unfortunate thing because, like, I haven't really played a Final Fantasy game personally that much. Like, I've gone back in recent years to go and play some of the more, not the older titles, but like like Final Fantasy 12 was like the like the oldest one I've played, I think. Um, and a big reason for that was because when I was young, I had a cousin who I looked up to like a brother. He was a couple years older than me. He was the coolest person I knew because I was a child. But the thing is, like, one of the things we bonded over a lot was games, and he had a PlayStation, and getting to play the games that or watch him play those games and do those things that he enjoyed. I loved that as a kid. But
yeah.
one of the things that just killed it for me as a kid, and I just was never interested up until adulthood, up into my 30s now. But like the fact that like he played Final Fantasy VII,
Oh.
and he's like, yeah, he was describing it to me because I didn't actually watch the game myself. I think I had the demo on one of those multi demo discs that they would put in promo
Yeah,
like
yeah.
magazines and stuff.
Uh-huh,
Um,
uh-huh.
so I might have played Seven that way. That's just the demo. But he was describing Seven to me. He's like, yeah, man, there's just this cool dude on the cover. He's got this huge sword. And it's like, it looks so rad, right? But then it's like you play the game, you just like, bit he attacks. And then, like he was describing turn-based combat to me. It's like, man, that sounds lame. And he's like, yeah, it sucks. And that was it. And I never got it. Like I never got into Final Fantasy as a kid. Never like
Dang.
it's just all based off of that one little like interaction with my cousin.
But I
But
actually had the opposite with Final Fantasy VII. That's what got me into turn-based. Was my uncle, who's also just a few years older than me. He got a PlayStation and he got two games. He got Metal Gear Solid and he got Final Fantasy VII. But this dude was like, I mean, that was it. Like he couldn't get anything else. He was like in high school. Like there's nothing left. So,
yeah,
um, I remember I remember him counting up as much money as he could. We walked to the mall and we went to go to the EB games to get the perfect guide for Final Fantasy 7 because it's like
Okay.
this is all we can play. And
Yeah.
and I remember him looking through it being like, I need to make sure it's legit. I was like, how would you know? But anyways,
Yeah.
um he was
It's
like,
funny.
we got to master everything in this game. Everything's got to be top notch. But he didn't trust me to play it because I was like young, and he's like, "You're gonna fuck up my save." I was like, "All right." So what he would do is he literally had a backup save. Like when you saved on the game, you can go through like different pages for different slots.
Right.
He had
Right.
one like all the way at the end, just as a backup. Then he would let me play
Yeah.
another one. He'd like make a new save just for me to play, and then he was just like, "Just go grind." So I would just all I could do was just go around, walk around, and get in random battles, and I fucking loved it because I was like, "I'm playing the game. I get to play."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, go ahead,
Exciting.
yeah, do it, do it." And I was just going like just and I got into it because it just looked cool, and it looked to
Right.
me like the jump from like 5 polygon cloud to 100 polygon cloud was so insane. I was like, whoa, look how it looks so much cooler when you're fighting, and like to see
Yeah.
like Barrett, have a fucking mouth and like shoot his gun or whatever. It was super cool.
Yeah.
And like playing with the team dynamics and switching them out and that whole thing, like the limit breaks. I got so deep into the combat, and after that, that's when I was like, man, these types of games are cool. And I just started playing. I'd play the older Final Fantasies, and then whatever everything else. But yeah, I kind
Mhm.
of had the opposite. I got super hyped because I was allowed to play. Uh,
That's funny. Yeah.
yeah,
That's a good
I was
story.
tricked, but here I am.
Yeah. You know it. Hooked.
All right, let's
Tricked or hooked.
yeah, whatever. What's the difference? I'm a fish. It doesn't matter. All right, you want to jump
A
to the
good
next one?
feeling.
You want to jump
Yeah,
to the
sure.
all right. So
So yeah, but just real quick,
mm,
I love turn-based. I think I don't play them all the time, but like because I do like a huge variety of different types of games to engage with, aside from Fast Call. um, but yeah, I think I personally think turn-based is the perfect control scheme where it's like the perfect comfort food. Whenever there's a good turn-based game, you could just dive in and just have a good time at your own pace. You
have
know
a
what I
good
mean?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Um, so yeah.
Okay,
Next up.
I'm gonna go to my least favorite: first person shooters or first person games, I guess in general.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I don't like
Tell
them.
me about it. Tell me
Okay,
about it.
here's what I okay. It's hard. My mind is changing a little bit. So I was gifted, very graciously gifted a PSVR, and um, started playing No Man's Sky, which I played a bit before. But I always play any chance I get. I play third person. I'm just not into like.
Yeah.
It feels weird to me. It breaks my like. I feel like I'm trying to lie to myself, right? Because I'm like, this is just not. I never feel this way when I'm walking around, right? I don't feel that I don't have a body. I'm just a face, right? Like
Mhm.
you get what I mean? I don't know. It's weird,
Yeah.
and I feel like a lot of people, or the idea of the first person is like for you to embody the character as closely as possible and to have their point of view, which
Right.
can be useful in some senses, but there's a lot. I don't know. In a lot of games, I don't think it works as well as they want them to. Um, and
Yeah, it's not like any control scheme, right? Like FPS is a difficult one to do, but it is an
yeah,
enormous industry. So
yeah, but that
so
doesn't mean nothing. I mean, come on. I mean, people like a lot of whatever. Anyways, but I'll say VR is kind of changing me up on that. Playing No Man's Sky in VR was like a bit of a revelation, and it wasn't just like the going around shooting stuff, but it was like
Mhm.
getting in the plane, taking off. I was like, "Whoa, this is wild!" And then just kind of
Yeah.
like looking, tilting the plane, looking down and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, this is actually really cool." But I think it's
Mhm.
because it's a one to one because I feel it now.
Right,
Before I
you're
feel like
immersed.
it's trying to imitate that feeling, not like
Mhm.
initiate it. Um,
Yeah.
but there are some exceptions. There's some games that I think are really that work really well with the first person view. Um, and that set of games would be the Metroid Prime games. I
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
think
you
that's
let me
as
borrow those games. Yeah,
oh there's they're
I still never finished it.
motherfucker.
And I like FPS games, so
Yeah, I think it works really good with the exploratory aspect of gaming. I think
mhm,
the
yeah.
the whole scanning thing is fucking awesome in uh in Metroid Prime and also a bit of
But
No Man's
yeah,
Sky.
those games are enhanced by the Wii mode, right? Is that how you played it, or?
The third one is yeah, and I have that trilogy. But even the first game, just
Oh, I see. Okay.
you kind of have to you don't use a second stick, and that's kind of the thing, right? Like there, I guess most people don't see the divide anymore, but I still have that very much in my head of like single stick first person shooters, like God, what was one of them? I want to say like Medal of Honor,
Wolfenstein?
maybe. Well, I never played that.
Oh, okay.
But or like I don't know if Doom really counts. I know Doom counts. Okay, I know it counts. But
Yeah.
Doom feels like a fucking dungeon crawler. It doesn't feel like a it feels like a real-time dungeon crawler, right? Like
Mhm,
I'm not really
mhm.
whatever. People, whatever. You can play it
Okay.
on your cup or whatever, right? You can put it on everything. Uh, but yeah, like I think that uh I think it has its benefits, but it has its drawbacks. Like I can't play a stealth game if it's in first person.
That's usually really rough. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
will agree that
don't
there's
like it.
yeah,
But
that's pretty rough.
at the same time, like I played through like Halo 1 through 5 with my wife, and it was
Mhm.
super fun. And so like
Yeah,
Borderlands is fun too. Like I
yeah,
get it, it's fun, but I don't I like it in the arcadey feel. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I don't feel like there's enough depth I can get of those kind of experiences. Um, basically, except for Metroid Prime,
yeah.
but mostly because it's using another. It's basically using another. It's doing a translation, right? And I think we'll talk about that with the next one too. But it's translating what was so definitive about a Metroid game into a third person space, and using the first person view works in that way because you have to do. Um, it became less about performance and it became more about strategy, even though it's a first person game. You had to like think about. Whereas, like, okay, I'm getting lost in the weeds here, but like a Super Metroid, you're like stacking up powers as you go, right? You're just getting stronger and
Right.
stronger. But Metroid Prime, you have to decide which works best for the situation you're in and puzzle solve, so it converts back to like a third person thing, and blah 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 blah. It's all cool, but in that game, there's just something about like it bridged a lot of the gaps. So like when you jump, for example, it tilts down. Like the view will tilt down for you because that's what you would do, right? You
Right.
like the heads up display is just it's perfect. I don't know. It works. It's just it does it.
Yeah,
It fits your
that's pretty
control
cool. Yeah.
scheme, right? And that's
Mhm.
a thing. Like they bridge the gap to put you in the suit, and then they do
Right.
things to subvert it too. Of like,
Taking advantage of the like control, right? Taking
right,
advantage.
yeah, it's like they were in sync in a way, and then they were like they would break it. They'd give you like the reflection of Samus's eyes suddenly, like, oh, what the fuck? It's
That's
like,
really
hey,
cool.
don't forget, you're actually you're role playing somebody here. You're like, oh my god, like
Yeah, it's great, great detail.
yeah. And then like the controls were seamless between third person and first person, right? Because you didn't
Mhm.
have to think about how to move; you were already moving the same way. Um,
Right.
so yeah, there's a lot of I think that game does it the best. But honestly, like I just don't care about shooters that much.
Yeah.
They kind of just if it at least first person shooters I find to be kind of like boring because they're all the same. I
Yeah, yeah,
don't, ugh,
they don't really have the best track record for storytelling in that
no,
regard.
yeah,
For me personally, I like FPS games a lot. mostly because like in high school in that time, I was in a gaming clan online, and we would play Battlefield 2, or we played Battlefield 1942, and there was like a mod for that called what was it called? Damn, it was like a modern warfare mod for 1942.
Mm,
So like it just changed up the maps. It gave you modern vehicles, everything, right? So um and those devs that made that mod would go on to get hired by DICE, who is the developer of Battlefield, and they would make Battlefield 2.
mm,
Um, and then we played that, and then when Battlefield 3 came out, we played that. So like, it was like for years and years I would play these games with my friends, and that's really what the pinnacle of the experience for those types of games are. For me personally, is just like having a game where it's a sandbox multiplayer shooter, and you're just shooting the shit with your buds, literally, like
yeah.
just having a good time with your buds online, just like trying to get who's gonna get the most points, who's gonna get the most kills, that kind of stuff. But like it's all just kind of fun, just like us just fucking around and talking about our day while we're just like playing this game together. So like, and like that kind of experience can be applied to any like sort of online type of game. But that was the game for me during that time. So that really got me into FPS games. Um, I even remember the first FPS game that actually clicked for me, that actually got me interested in trying them out, which was Viet Cong. I don't know if you've ever seen that game, but it was for the
Uh,
PC.
mm,
Um, and it was such a cool game because like still to this day there aren't many games about Vietnam, and as a kid, I was fascinated by like, war theaters and stuff like that. Less so now as an adult because it's depressing. But as a kid, you see the guns and the flash and you think it's cool and it doesn't matter.
right.
So, um,
Oh
uh,
yeah, I'm looking at the game now. My God.
so yeah, Viet Cong. I played that on the PC, and it was such a cool thing because like it wasn't just about shooting everything. Like you would actually be at a fire base in Vietnam, and you would actually just go back to the fire base and talk to people, and
Right.
just like, "Oh, I'm going to go to the firing range, check out this new gun we got," and all that kind of stuff, or do these different tasks around the fire base. And then and it was a level based game.
Mm,
So like there were scenarios you could play out, and it was just like it was very engaging to me as a kid, and it was the first time I had played an online portion of it too, because it had a PvP mode where it was just basically an arena shooter. Um, and I was having a lot of fun with it. I was like, "Man, this is great! I'm hiding in the bushes, ambushing people and shit like that." So, uh, I remember like loading. It's like, yeah, this one round is just like three people in the server probably. It's like, yeah, I got like 70 kills and like 40 deaths. And like, so, you know,
That's pretty dope.
uh, yeah. So just like going ham with a Tommy gun, right? It was so fun.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like it's just what solidified it was just uh being invited online with my cousin. I'm not the same one who banished Final Fantasy for me, a different cousin. But he's just like, hey man, yeah, playing we played MMOs together first, but then it kind of bridged over. People we met online in MMOs are like, hey, do you play this? I'm like, yeah, sure, and we'll give it a shot, and that kind of thing. Like, just went from one point to the other, and there you go. I play Battlefield all the time as a kid, and then as the group kind of separated, went our different ways, as life can do sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, I haven't been playing as much, but I still always revere those days. It's just like so fun and just like
Yeah.
the best time as far as like when I was that age. So um, I still do really enjoy FPS games today. Um, it is like it's I have to approach it as almost like a niche point of view though sometimes because there's a lot of FPS games I do not like, and that it comes down to what exactly I'm looking for in an FPS that
Mm,
I really enjoy. Um, and recently, I was actually surprised by a game that I never because I'm starting to get into more roguelike type games
yep.
where it's like that one life, kind of scenario where you just have to build up and level up and progress. Um, so I was recommended a game called RoboQuest, and it's still in early access. And this is a fast-paced, stylized FPS roguelike, and it's a lot of fun. Like
Yeah.
it's just a ton of fun. Like it's very fast paced, but also it's like you don't have to worry about ammo. You can melee. You choose a. You can unlock multiple different types of characters. Um, the basic character has like a shield and like a melee. Um, but like the way you interact with the different types of enemies where they're like the enemies kind of like throw like bullet hell scenarios at you where there's just a lot of like bullets coming at you on the screen, but you're in a first person camera where you could jump super high and you could bounce on enemy heads like they're goombas and kill them, or like and just you collect all these just wild amount of just different types of weapons and crazy bosses that are just it's just super fun. I was like very surprised by this game, and another really cool aspect of it is it has multiplayer as well, so you can play co-op in a roguelike and an FPS, and it's just a lot of fun. I highly recommend that game if anybody's looking for that type of experience. But yeah, that's basically all I had to say about FPS games.
Yeah, I can't. The only other really good, I mean, of course, is subjective, whatever. But the only other really good thing I think that FPS games can do is like they can make really impactful scenarios personalized in a way.
Uh,
Like, but that's the thing. The issue with that is always fidelity, right? So like
mhm.
one thing that I remember being wild about was storming of Normandy in Medal of
Oh, dude,
Honor. Uh,
insane!
yeah, it was crazy back then. I couldn't believe how fucking cool it was. That was the best part
Yeah.
of the game. Was just the beginning, getting off the
Yeah.
boat, running in.
This Saving Private Ryan
Yeah,
is
it just
out.
came out. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So
perfect. It was like so much fun. And then another thing I can think about is when we played through Spec Ops, for Modern Warfare,
right.
and that
Yeah.
was fucking dope. Doing the sniping and stuff, like that was really cool. But yeah, overall, I think it's the weakest one for storytelling, and it's kind of what I enjoy maybe the
Yeah.
most about
It
games.
it
So
it has to like transcend its own like limitations to be a good story to tell in FPS, which
yeah,
is, like it's the antithetical part of it, right?
yeah,
Where that's just really difficult. And it's a big reason why I give Halo so much shit as well.
because you.
Because like the story is terrible in those games. Like it's just bad. Like
What are you talking
there's no
about?
other way.
The
Like
Covenant, they're back or something.
again.
Yeah, the
They died at the end of the last one, but they're back
did
again.
they?
Um,
It's another one. They're the other
yeah, it's a different one.
different
It's a different covenant.
different Covenant.
This one was lost in space, but they're back.
You know what
And they're
sucks?
here to fight humanity.
You know what really sucks about Halo is that the the best part about Halo are the fucking novels.
Yeah, exactly what I was gonna
Really
say. Is
good.
that it's the most frustrating part about the games is that the books are so fucking good
They're
and
great,
engaging, but the game can't even like hold a candle to it
dude.
as far as
The
storytelling
the
goes.
closest it
It's
got
so
to
sad.
was Reach because it was the best
Yeah,
story, and it's like, and even then I
yeah.
was like, ugh, I
You made your
find,
own Spartan in that too. Like you weren't
yeah,
like
that's
Master
right.
Chief or anything.
Hmm.
So, and like they made Spartans like actually like human.
Yeah,
So
like
so
mortal,
yeah,
fucking,
they can
yeah,
die now.
yeah. I like that. I don't know. Yeah, but there's something about like even in like the first Halo when you see like Master Chief like doing like flips and shit, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do any of that. I got a
Yeah.
pistol. What
The
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 fuck
other
am I doing?
really good one was ODST, and it's like like because you're not a Spartan,
Yeah,
so like
just a dude.
you have to deal with it. That's so cool. That's a cool little spin on those. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough mix to make a story really work in an FPS game.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We can keep going. You
Yep.
ready? Next one? Okay.
Next one, third person,
Third
third person games.
person. Okay. So, my favorite games are usually third person games.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah. Third person is a really good like. It's also like I feel like it's a widely mixed uh camera angle or camera control scheme because like
yeah.
you can find FPS games that have third person.
Mhm.
There's turn-based games that have third person,
Mhm.
etc.
Yeah,
For
so
that.
third
So
person usually has to do with camera placement and being able to see the player character. That's usually how we
mhm,
talk about third person. But there's
right.
also like there's a lot of like weird it's weird because it transcends like 2D to 3D. Um, but it's also what I use to describe what a 3D game is. Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like okay, so one game of contention I've had with people online is is it's the
mhm,
Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass Zelda games for
Oh,
the
I see.
DS. Yeah. So
Okay.
the for some reason the consensus is those are 2D Zelda games. And I'm like,
Oh, interesting.
but that's impossible because I'm like, first of all, they're not using for me when you say a 2D game, I'm thinking about the sprites in the environment and not just how you interact with them, but how they're presented, right?
Okay.
So it's twofold. So usually we're talking about sprites, some kind of pixel art. You could do a 2D, polygonal game. It's possible, but it's
mhm,
more about how you manage the screen, how you manage the camera, and how much control you have over your perspective, right?
mhm,
So these games are weird because they play top down like a 2D Zelda most of the time. But then you can get on a boat or you get on a train and you got full camera control.
mhm,
Same with say a Metal Gear Solid. You have a what we figured is a kind of isometric camera angle. It's not right above. It's not bird's eye view, but it's tilted a bit,
Right.
so you can see a bit ahead of yourself. Um,
mhm,
but when you lean up against a corner, you can the camera comes down to your level. The camera moves, but it's independent. The camera moves situationally, not it's not up to the player necessarily. It's not up. You don't have
mhm,
the control over it. And I would another game I'd put in this weird category would be the original Resident Evil games. Now, these are
Yeah.
100% third person games, but you have no say about where your camera is at all, right? So
Right.
you see your character and you're
And that's
moving.
the yeah. It's a fixed third person.
Mhm, mhm.
So
Yeah, fixed third person. So um, I think this is one of the best ways to to bridge the gap between player and character
for
because
sure.
you,
Yeah.
there's the thing that I think first person misses is that you have people have a situational awareness that is beyond sight, right?
Mhm,
And
yeah.
some games do this really well. Fucking what is it? Project Zomboid does that. They actually, if you have poor hearing, you can't see behind you, right? There's a
Right.
cloud, there's like a fog of war behind you
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if you have good hearing, you can see quote unquote because you're looking from above, you can see
Right.
more
Right.
because that's important. Like the way we as humans um, navigate through space, it's not just you know, fucking
Sight.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just sight and it's not just directly where my
Right.
eyes can swivel, right?
Mhm,
My eyes can swivel, my neck can move, and but there's also touch, there's sound. Um, sound is a big one, and the feeling of things moving around you, right? Like you can feel a door close, even though you're not near it. You can feel the difference in air pressure, stuff like this. So when we play games in the third person, I feel like it's a better translation because we have that extra awareness and then the devs can fuck around with that, right? They can make it
yeah.
claustrophobic so that you don't have that. It limits that awareness, right? Or
Mhm,
they can make it really wide and then you're
yeah.
mandating a battlefield or something, right? Um, but uh, I love Monster Hunter games, right? But
Yep.
part of it is because I what I'm trying to master, the skill I'm trying to master is mostly spacing and pacing. It's
Hmm.
when should I attack and where should I be when I do the attack, and
Right.
mastering that and like knowing the environment is so crucial to that, or it used to be. But anyways, it's crucial to that, and environmental awareness is like a big part of it. So
Right.
I think third person lends to that, um, and
Yeah.
in that way you can use this. It's useful. It's always a positive in every genre, right? It's good
Hmm.
in a stealth game. You need situational awareness. It's good in a combat focused game. It's good enough. Even, I mean, fighting games are a little weird because they tend to be, presented 2D, right? But even having that kind of like, oh, I can tilt the camera a little bit because I'm moving toward or away from the camera. And it's technically still third person. Um, shit, even like driving games, I think,
Yep.
kind of have
Those
that
are
too.
the third person camera for that. Yeah.
Especially when you're like, if you're flying a plane, man, flying a plane from the inside is cool, but oof, it
Uh,
gets hairy.
it's tough.
Like, how do I land
Yeah.
this thing? I can't see the bottom of it.
I can't say.
Yeah, that's No Man's Sky makes up for that. You just press a button, it does it for you. Like, thank God.
Yeah, that's always the best part about FPS games is to have the option to be in third person.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think they work. The FPS works perfect when it's tied with third person, right?
Hmm.
So, like again,
Depending on the game, like if we're talking about like I mentioned a lot about Battlefield, like competitive
mm,
shooters, typically you would want a one or the other, just because like if you have third person, you're at a massive advantage over anyone who's in third person or
right,
first person because you could see around corners. Like you could hide your whole body while you still see, and you could just wait for someone around the corner
right,
or something like that. So,
yeah.
but yeah,
Um, yeah, it's
any other
also
type of game, it's
yeah.
really cool.
And you can, and then you don't have that disconnect that we were just talking about with like Master Chief, right? Like Master Chief is doing backflips and shit. That ain't gonna work in first person. It's gonna look
Yeah,
weird as hell, right? But when
the
I'm,
cutscenes are always just like, why can't I do that?
yeah, literally, I'm always like, I wish I was actually Master Chief. I'm just a dude. But
Just I can moon jump really high. That's neat, I guess.
yeah, but when like Commander Shepard is running across a battlefield, slamming up against a cover, hopping over it, shooting to the left, shooting to the right, doing a
So cool.
fucking force power, it's like, yeah, I could actually
Yeah,
do that,
yeah,
and the
and you
third
see it.
person, yeah, it lets me do that. It gives me it enables the animations to play out in a way
Right.
where it's like readable. I know what's happening, and I can time
Yeah,
those things and blah 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 blah. So yeah, I think
yeah.
third person is the way to go, personally.
Third person is definitely it's like it's a showcase of like what is possible, right? Like
Right,
what you
right.
can do with a game. Monster Hunter does it amazingly, especially just get better and better with it, with just showing the animations and just the variety of animations and just all these things that you're doing and making your character do, and it's really great. And there's such a great variety of engagement with third person, um, and a lot of games can spoil you with just how much they really emphasize on utilizing that camera
Yeah,
and the character that you're seeing. Like the one of the best examples I can think of that is just an amazing like uh change up that actually just like made such an amazing like improvement for third person games was Dead Space. Dead Space like doesn't have a HUD. It's all on
oh
your
right,
character.
yeah, yeah.
And just the aspect of like where they're taking that like the idea of like FPS and then putting it into a third person game where like you are immersed in this third person where you can see the back of the character but you still feel like you're all inversed on this character, right? Because of how much you have to utilize all the information is on the character, and all the weapons that you use have like the Resident Evil style like laser pointer type of thing as well. So it is all on the character, and
Yeah.
the way they make a horror game around that is just it's really fucking great.
Yeah. You're the only one who can speak on that. I can't do horror games. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I
Yeah.
got this PSVR and it's everyone's like, "Yo, go play Resident Evil 7." I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Why would I put
Oh
myself?
man, I would love to do that so
No,
much.
no. Yeah, I
Love
mean,
to do that.
that's a great stream, right? Just me crapping myself, just going, ah, god damn it,
Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like um speaking on like FPS and third person, like for horror, uh horrors utilize too well a lot of times for first person games. I do like horror a lot, but I do not like the genre where they just make you completely powerless. And
yeah.
basically you have to hide in a closet, hide under
Mm-mm,
a bed, and
mm-mm.
just wait for something to stomp around in the room until they leave, and then you have to
Yeah,
sneak out and just like like dealing with like like there's interesting mechanics with it, like where you have to manage sanity or stress or something like that, and just like that's interesting. It's not for me. Like I want a shotgun. I want to like blast these monsters away, and like you know I can handle like a quick spook, or like just like a big like a jump scare or something like that. But I will shoot the shit out of that thing. I promise you. So, uh, but yeah,
yeah, for sure.
third person is a excellent camera, and it is also like again like any of these like types of media, like ways of engagement for the player. It's not easy to do. Like these things have to be done just right.
Yeah,
People who are very passionate about it do it. Like they know exactly what they want out of that experience, and a lot of times like for third person games you encounter like the situation of like, oh man, the camera's just a little too close, I can't see anything, and it just becomes frustrating,
yeah.
or the camera's too far away and you can't see your character as much as you would want to, that kind of thing. So like it's not easy, it's not an easy thing to accomplish.
Yeah, there's like I mean, I think we remember it, like the growing pains of like 3D gaming, figuring out what to do with a camera, how to give players the right amount of control over it.
Yeah.
And it sucks cuz like some of my favorite games have like terrible fucking camera controls. But like
Yeah.
the other parts of the game, you know, having the view of the character was important to those games. So like I can think of like uh Sonic Adventure is a bad camera. It's not good. And the only way you can move it is to use the triggers. So it only moves left and right around Sonic, right? Which I can understand why that would make sense in some aspects, but that camera gets stuck on fucking everything. It's just like, oh, just
Right.
so annoying. Or
Yeah.
even like Mega Man Legends. I think it was like an okay game, but it was like Mega Man's first like 3D game, and it was just like, what do we do? It was the same thing. It was just like press the triggers. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess, and not all consoles had back then had dual sticks, and even then, I feel like dual sticks is a kind of um, it's not the best. I don't. I know it's like common language now for how
Yeah.
to maneuver first person or
Yeah.
third person games, but like
Yeah.
I don't
Trying to
always think
teach
it's.
someone dual stick is just like, oh fuck. They've
Mm,
never touched the controller before, with especially with two sticks. Like
it's
that's a
hard.
that's a learning curve.
Yeah,
Like, it's a big one.
it's really tough, and I feel for them. Because you're like like the idea of like one. You know what? For me, like here's my fucking blind spot. I just can't get over is people who play first person and third person games on a fucking computer, like with a keyboard.
With the
I
keyboard,
still
right?
suck at it. I can't do it. Like, and I think
Yeah.
it's because there's like an analog digital thing that like you need to give me one. You can't give me both, right?
Yeah.
So like pressing keys to move and then moving my mouse for
Yeah.
I'm like, why? I don't know. I need parameters. Give
Yeah.
me parameters, right? Um,
Yeah.
but that's because I'm
Yeah.
old and whatever. I can't fucking.
Yeah, like for me, like I really don't want to play FPS games with a controller, just because
Oh
I'm
man.
I'm so used to it on keyboard and mouse, because I again, like with Battlefield, that was always on PC. Um, I did switch over to play Battlefield like 3 and 4 on console for years, and I did get used to it, but switching back to computer like I don't know, like 2018, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Just I never want to do an FPS on controller, but
Man,
it's
I just
it's
you know what I want to do? I want to do an FPS with 2 mice. Okay, let's do that. That'll solve my
oh
problems.
man, I think that's what the Steam controller is
Oh God,
essentially.
that
It's just
fucking the
like
weird
two
touchpad.
touchpads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is a touchpads. That is a touchpads. That's so
yeah.
weird. But that's the
I think
thing.
that's the
Like,
closest you're gonna get.
oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll pass. Okay. Uh, all right. I guess we could jump to the last one. And
Yeah,
again,
was there anything else with the
I
third
mean,
person?
I think it's the best one. That's it. We're good.
Yeah, I do always go back to third person. It's a comfortable one to go back to.
Yeah.
As far as control, it's a mix up. I do all tend to gravitate to using a controller with third person games. That tends to translate the best for me. And plus, just I guess a quick side tangent. There are just nowadays there's different tangible means of interaction based on what you are using to interact with the game. So, like as an example, with a controller, you get rumble feedback in the triggers, right?
Right. Right.
Um, you don't get that on keyboard and mouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, there is that, and a lot of third-person games do take advantage of, like, playing with a controller and that aspect. The PlayStation 5 has basically bumped it up, like, to the next level with their trigger control, with their pressure sensitivity and the resistance that they've added in those triggers. If anyone has an experience of PlayStation 5 controller and they like controller gaming, you really should experience that. Even if you play on PC, a lot of games nowadays have that built in with like Steam games where like they program like the controller is still programmed to give you that appropriate feedback. So like it's a great experience for that sort of thing. So side tangent over.
Yeah. I wouldn't know.
Someday,
I'm over here
someday,
in
Oliver.
fucking Poorville. I don't know what the hell.
Someday, you're gonna be wild, buddy.
Honestly, I can't wait to play. What do you call it? Fucking Death Stranding with
Oh,
those controllers.
yeah, absolutely.
That's all I'm
You
looking
have
forward
to.
to.
You have to.
Um, okay, want to jump to the next one?
Yep. Management slash RTS. Group
Management.
these two together because I feel like they're the same sort of like camera. You have the bird's eye or God cam. Just you usually have a big map to overview, and there's just varying ways to interact with the map and how you based on what type of game you're playing, be it an RTS or a management sim or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. This control scheme's kind of cool. I think it also goes back to like the board game type. Um,
it can. Yeah, yeah,
um, yeah. Some of my favorite games are RTSs. Some of the games I played the
right.
most are RTSs.
Yeah,
Um,
an RTS has got me into gaming really,
yeah.
like
Red
like
Alert.
actually wanting to like know more. So yeah, Red Alert 2. Uh, I still vividly remember just being in science class in the computer lab and my teacher just playing Red Alert 2 on his computer while we did our homework and just being like, okay, I'm done with my homework. Hey, what are you doing? And he's just like, yeah, this is Red Alert 2. And it's like, oh my god, this looks so cool. And it's just like, yeah, man. And it is cool.
Yeah, I remember it was like summer of 8th grade or something when I got StarCraft, and it
Yeah,
just like took over my life. I just couldn't stop fucking
yeah,
playing that game. Um, but it was so yeah, I like the idea of managing things. It's kind of the same thing as it's a good way to look at. It's a good way to strategize things. Um, and this angle, I guess, or like the management view is usually bird's eye type thing. But I like. I think it's like it's a good tool. It's not like
Mhm.
I don't think games have to be tied to it, but I think it's a really good tool to
Yeah,
use for certain things. So like one 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 weird one weird kind of mix of these was a game called Battalion Wars. And so
that's right.
it's
Yeah,
that Advance
for
Wars
the
game.
GameCube. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah. That game was hard, man.
it's hard
It's
as
difficult.
shit. It's so fucking hard. But it's
The
good. It's
controls didn't help.
no, no, it did not control well. But it was like the idea was so cool. Like,
It
you
was.
can
It looked
start
awesome. Like
yeah.
the style was amazing.
Yeah. And I wish they'd do more like this, but it kind of
Seriously.
crossed up the real-time strategy um management type like bird's eye view, but then you come down to the ground level and you go third person, and so you'd move your troops around and stuff. And it was a weird like you're in as a player you were embodying different elements of the game at multiple times, and it was like
Right.
at your
Yeah.
choosing, and that was kind of cool. um Even Pikmin, although I'm not really excited about the fourth one. I think it's I don't know, the demo I wasn't too big on, but Pikmin has that cool like you're on the ground level, but you're managing things, so the camera can't be like behind you. It's got to be above you somewhat, and you're kind of working within
Uh,
this kind of play field. It's kind of
right.
cool. And then the other example I can think of is ah, I played this game to death, and I wish I had more of it. But now I wish I could play it again. I don't think I could run it on my Mac. Um,
Hmm.
Hold on. Let me just make sure I got the yes. Okay. It was Dark Crusade, the Warhammer 40K Dawn of War expansion,
Yeah,
and it went from like basically you're playing Risk on a planetary level. So like
that's
every
right. Yeah,
map was like a place you have to take and hold, and you'd get advantages for having them. But then to
it's
take
so
it, you'd
cool.
have to play the map in an RTS, and
Right.
just that so addicting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
multiple saves of that on a
The
computer that doesn't exist.
Total War games do that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
They're
I
all
remember you got me into Rome, and I remember
that's
just
right.
like it was like, oh, you've captured this this city state or whatever. It's like, do you want to enslave them? I'm like, Jesus. It's like, well, you can just
Yeah.
charge them high taxes. I'm like, this is all terrible. I don't want to be that guy. Just let them just hang out, do what you
Yeah.
do, keep baking
Yeah.
bread, or I don't know. What are you guys up to? Like, I don't, I don't have to
Yeah.
subjugate you, do I? It's
Yeah.
yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, those yeah, those RTSs were a big part of gaming for me early on because of PC gaming as well. I did drift away from it when I eventually just couldn't afford a better PC, and I just, I had a console, and that was good enough. So like, and there weren't a lot of RTSs for console. That's still kind of a rare thing.
yeah,
There
yeah,
are
it's a
there
shame.
are like some like RTSs that are like with console in mind, but yeah, again, it's a rare thing.
Yeah,
Because it is a difficult thing to manage with a controller, typically, because there's a
yeah,
lot going on, right? There's a lot of things to manage, and that's typically better utilized with a point and click sort of like control scheme. So,
mm.
um,
Yeah. What
yeah,
I can think of like I remember Halo Wars being pretty good on
Halo
the
Wars, yeah,
360.
Halo Wars 2, 1 and 2,
I
yeah.
never played two. I wanted to. Um, then what else? Pikmin comes to mind. It's a bit lighthearted, so it's not like
Right, yeah.
Um, can't really think of anything else, honestly. I play. I mean,
I
I.
mean, for that camera, there's the simulation type games like those City Skylines is a
Oh,
popular
right,
one right
right.
now,
Yeah.
or like one that was a really fun one for me early on because I just like I didn't own it till a bit later myself till I had my own PC. But as a kid, during middle school and early high school, I'd always go to my buddy's house and we'd play Roller Coaster Tycoon,
Yeah.
and that was just so much fun. It was just like it was so goofy and just like I personally, like I can definitely see the appeal of like simulation management games, but like I'm so intimidated by those games nowadays, man. Like
Yeah.
there's just so much like management. Like, okay, yeah, you can just manage everything. It's like, why me?
Yeah.
Why can't I just hire someone to manage some
Right.
parts of it? I do the fun part.
Yeah,
Like,
the
you
person
know,
who's running the electrical grid is not also in charge of the waterworks. Like this is
or like,
madness.
like logistics and transportation
Yeah.
and city building and like,
Yeah,
God, please,
but like
God.
I think like the allure of like having that kind of control and then using this kind of like bird's eye, God's eye view of like, looking
Watching
down and
it develop. Yeah.
right. I think that's super enticing, but same. It's just too much for me. I'm like,
It's so much, and
yeah,
like I wish I could enjoy it as much as some of my friends enjoy that stuff. Because like
yeah,
one of my buddies like spent thousands of hours in City Skylines. Like, oh man, oh my God, you must be such a like a fucking pro at this now. Like, but like yeah, like I much prefer the simplicity of like the more tongue-in-cheek like management games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, where it's just like build a crazy ride and like make a lot of money. Like, just like that's all you gotta do. Like that's all
yeah,
you have to worry about.
yeah. I like when
The people
it's
aren't happy, so hire a mascot or like, the park's dirty. Okay, hire a janitor. That's it.
yeah.
It's like,
There's something like satisfying about having like streamlined things,
yeah,
but you still have that management aspect to it. Like
yeah,
that's what really brought me into Dawn of War was like the squad rather than the
you're
unit.
right.
Because before I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
getting individual units and making them into squads. I was like, oh no, I got squads, and I made groups of squads. So that's cool. But having
right.
that kind of like it's multiple groups at once, like and then like resource hunting or resource gathering being more like a checkpoint thing, like kind of streamlining the basics of it, and then really focusing more on the strategy of like the combat and the conflict. Um, I think that's really
Mhm.
cool. Same with like Company Heroes. I like that a lot too,
Yeah,
but I'm really bad
that's
at
a
it.
great game.
I wish I was better at it. My men
I haven't
die.
played that game in a long time.
It's so much fun. I got back.
Yeah,
Yeah, I told you I got a new like Wacom tablet, and I try to play it with just the
that's right.
pen because I thought it'd be cool. And it was for like a minute, and then I'm like, just give me a mouse. So I'm just playing it on a smaller screen now,
Yeah, yeah.
but still good. Um, yeah.
So
I gotta get the third one. I bet it plays nice.
yeah, it's gorgeous as
Uh,
far as I've seen. Like those games just typically look really good.
also, like one of the few games I could play on the Mac, right? So
Oh yeah, yeah,
let me see.
yeah.
Okay,
There's a growing roster.
I'm
Just
looking at
wait till
it.
that furniture management game comes
Oh
out for,
boy,
and then you're never getting your computer
I'm
back.
never gonna get back. She's gonna steal it. She's gonna steal it.
Uh,
Fucked.
you blame me. I pointed it out there.
Yeah, there goes my career. Like I'm making a game. Not anymore. She's stolen it.
Not anymore.
I gotta go buy another computer now. Fuck. Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, I, I don't really know how to conclude this. I think we're just talking about different
yeah,
genres and
yeah.
different
Just
schemes and stuff.
yeah, like we gravitate to our personal favorites, and it's like it's not like set in stone. Like like
Yes, it is.
again,
Yes.
like
No, I'm
uh, uh, like like sorry, I had to clear my throat. The like like for me personally, like I'm not strong in side scrollers, mostly based on my own adaptability to those types of games and how typically I get frustrated playing them. But I have played side scrollers that I have enjoyed,
yeah.
like I can still find enjoyment in those types of like cameras, or camera types of control. Um and I like that goes for like like it's an ever evolving medium
Yep.
for games in general. We I'm like I'm looking at this list and it's just like shit, man. What's next? Like how do you further engage with a game? Like have we figured it all out already? Is like or is there
Yeah.
something else new? Or is it like a Mario 64 scenario for me? It's just like I'm playing Mario 64 for the first time as a kid. I was like, games are never gonna look better than this ever. This is the best looking game I've ever seen. Holy moly, how does it get better than this? You know, 10 years later, 20 years later, it's just
Yeah, dude.
not even like 5 years, like 2, 3 years later, the GameCube came out. It's just like, holy shit, Mario Sunshine, like Jesus Christ, the game looks
Yeah,
incredible.
it's yeah. Even like thinking of like from what Majora's Mask to Wind Waker, it's 2 years. 2 years? It's a 2 year
Wild,
difference.
man,
It's fucking crazy.
wild.
Yeah. Or
But
even
yeah,
oh, I was looking at something else where it was like the jump was insane, but it was still now I forget. It's yeah, the jump in game in fidelity is just. I mean, I think it's
it's
slowing.
staggering. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
it is
slowing
definitely
down
staggering.
now.
Slowing down, yeah.
Yeah, because we're getting closer to photorealism. So yeah, I wonder what that is. I hate to be the
The
guy to say like it's VR because I just got a VR thing, but I
Yeah,
feel like it was before. Like I feel like that's kind of
yeah.
where things are
It's it,
heading.
it's an interesting one because like it's kind of VR is essentially is like like that next step of like interaction, right? Because
Yeah.
it's full, like the goal is full immersion. You're
Right.
in the game, you can move around. Your movement in real life is affecting how you interact with the game. Um, and it's kind of kneecapping itself based on the limitations of that it's presenting itself as, usually the buy-in, and
Yeah.
typically it's not cheap, and people don't have that sort of expendable cash for the most part, and there just aren't a lot of games because, again, developing these games with any of the listed control schemes is not easy in itself. Imagine doing that for VR now, and that is just a whole nother
Yeah.
thing where people are still figuring it out. Just like how do we make everyone be able to enjoy this without making them vomit? Just that's a pretty big
Yeah.
hurdle.
I really
Like,
thought I was gonna get sick as soon as I started
yeah,
playing. I was like,
I'm
"Oh, this is
very
gonna
glad
fuck
that
me
you
up."
did. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
but
I'm proud of
um,
myself.
yeah, I mean, and you didn't have to buy into it either, so that's even better. So,
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
um,
honestly, the price tag is what was holding me back the whole time. I was like, I want to
of
try it, but
course,
I want to try it. I don't want to fucking
right?
drop $500 to
And
try it. That's
and it's just
crazy.
like it's not easy as pick up a controller and try it out, right? Like it's just like you need a headset, you need these unique controllers, you need a camera, all these things, and just like, are they gonna just like set that up for everyone to use at a Best Buy or something? I don't think
Right.
so. It's like,
But you know what?
it's,
I gotta amend it a bit. I think also AR will be really interesting because,
oh yeah, that's
dude,
true.
that
Yeah,
new. I mean, everyone's like joking about it, right? But that new Apple Vision thing is
I
fucking
haven't seen that.
crazy. You haven't seen it?
I, no, I haven't.
What, Mike? Seriously?
I haven't seen it. No.
Dude, I'm gonna send you
Well,
this. You're just gonna blow your
yeah.
fucking mind. Like, it's crazy if it's real. Like, it didn't even seem real when I saw it. This is gonna become the
Okay.
Apple podcast. Like, it was okay. It's like goggles, right? And it has like a
Okay.
like one
We
cable.
could do a live reacts right
You
now.
want to do a lot? No, because it's really long. It's like a
Okay.
30-minute
Okay.
presentation thing. But
Okay.
I'll give you
Okay.
I'll give you the cliff notes. It's like they look like ski goggles, like the fucking Macho Man, right? But it's kind of
Okay.
thick and it goes over. It straps behind your head, right? Nothing on top, and it's got one cable and it goes to like a battery pack, I think, right? That's like long
Mhm.
enough. It's a small pack you can fit in your pocket. Okay. Besides that, it's fucking free. You're totally hands free, dude. It's AR and VR together. Okay,
Oh
whenever you want.
man.
It does one really weird thing. It projects your eyes on the outside, which is fucking creepy. But besides that, everything else is wild. Okay, it has a screen on the front. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're looking at your Mac, it will pull the screen from the Mac and just AR that shit like in
Yeah.
space. Okay, you can
Okay.
you can just talk out to type. Okay, if you want to click
That's cool.
things on your Mac, you tap your fingers together to click. It
Oh,
has cameras looking down to read your body movements.
oh
Okay,
man.
you can fucking FaceTime multiple people in space, dude. Okay, it's set. It
Yeah.
has. It doesn't need headphones. It sends the sounds to your ear from like tiny speaker thingies or whatever. Okay.
Uh,
Okay. You, bro. like you can fucking watch movies. Then it can go VR like instantaneously, and you just start watching a
When
movie
was this? When was this shown off?
like a month ago, dude.
Oh, really? Oh
I'll
shit!
send it
Yeah,
to
I'm
you.
behind the times.
It is, but it's like $3,500 or something. It's like
Okay.
super expensive.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
once they
I
figure
missed
that shit out and it gets like affordable,
it.
I'm fucking in.
Yeah.
But it was like, you can go like, it's hard to explain. Like it goes AR to VR like seamlessly, and you can do all your computer shit, you can do all your phone stuff, whatever. I'm more
Hmm.
interested, of course, in what it's going to do for gaming, because AR
Yeah.
gaming is pretty interesting to begin with. Um,
Yeah.
not so
Imagine like a Pokemon Go
right, like
with
in your
that.
house. Yeah, in your
Yeah.
fucking house. Now you don't need to set up anything. You don't got to
Yeah.
put things up for like
No
uh
wires,
no
all
wires,
in
no
one,
nothing.
right?
It's all just cameras. So it's got cameras like all around it to like
It's amazing.
judge distances and stuff. And it'll
Hmm.
like they did this thing where like, oh, you can watch a movie, right? And then you can change the size of the screen in VR. So you can make it
Hmm.
insanely huge, and then it'll like adjust the sound so that it feels the same. Like it'll like 1-to-1 it or whatever. It's fucking
Wow.
crazy, dude.
That sounds wild, man.
It's wild if it works. Like
Right.
if it doesn't work, cool. But like
I hope it's not another. It can't be another Google Glass, right?
it's goofier than Google Glass, man, because it's not like you, you shouldn't walk
I don't
around with
know.
this thing on.
That Google Glass was pretty weird.
I'm telling you, this thing
It
is
was just like
huge.
a
Like,
scouter.
yeah, no, these are literally
Yeah,
Macho
yeah,
Man
the
ski
goggles. Yeah,
goggles. I will at least let me at least send you the picture of it so you can see how fucking huge it is. But
yeah.
uh
Yeah.
let me see. It's it's super big. I'm gonna
I'm ready,
I'm
man.
gonna send you the weird one with the eyes. So, hold on, where
Okay.
you at? You're here. Oh, okay. Take a look at that. Wait, send it. Send the thing. Okay,
Send it.
there you go. It's a little weird,
I like it.
but
That's so
it's
funny.
but it's like I saw it and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then I'm like, oh my god, I hope you can have two like working in tandem. Because like if I put that thing on, I'm alone. Like I'm not talking to anybody.
Yeah,
I'm gone. Like
yeah.
it's the same thing now,
That's
even
funny.
with like the it's not cheap, but like, the lower end PSVR. Like I'm not here. Don't like Liv will like tap my shoulder and I'll jump out of my chair like, God damn it, what the
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Yeah, for as talking about like control schemes and like we're talking about the future, and
yeah,
it most likely is like this AR, VR sort
yeah,
of
like
interaction because it's already happening, right?
right.
But like the limitations of that do come with like, a VR headset. They're getting better and better, which is like, it reflects on how gaming has improved so quickly in such a short span of time,
Mm,
relatively short span of time. Um, that VR is going the same path where these companies are making smaller and smaller headsets. They're more comfortable. They're accessible. Like if like for me personally, I have to wear glasses, and
right.
just like I want to experience VR, but I can't put a huge fucking headset over my glasses and the glasses pressed into my eyes. It's it's awful. You can't do that.
Right.
So like there's options for you to have specialized lenses made for your VR goggles and have those inserted into it, basically putting it prescription lenses into your VR, doing that.
Right. Oh,
But
okay.
there's also like the complications of like when you put these goggles on, you're blind now. Like you can't see the
Right.
what your world is, and like VR games require you to move around and like do things with your hands and feet or something like
Right.
you gotta walk around or bend up and down. Sometimes games require you to be standing.
Right.
There's complications with that are still being worked out, but like it's an experience still, so like that's really like what these are for at this point in time. Like they haven't replaced analog gaming. I don't think analog gaming will ever be replaced unless we're all just like inserted into the matrix at some point. But
We're already in,
um,
man. Free
we're already
yourself.
there. We're just
Come on.
analog gaming anyway.
Come on. You think that's games you're playing? You are the game. Ah, someone's playing
Oh my
you. Oh,
god!
fucking.
All right, cool.
Help. Oh, you're right. It is cool.
That's fun. Um, but but yeah, so the limitation, like you're buying into an experience that you haven't experienced yet before, and that's kind of like the teetering point for like VR and AR going forward is wanting to like have that unique experience and really be engaged by it. And but we're still at the very early stages of that, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, something to look forward to for sure. See where it goes.
yeah.
See how. I still want that Kojima game explodes when you lose game. I want that one. That's the next step.
Oh
That's the next
yeah,
view.
yeah, the bomb diffusal one or
Yeah, the oh you fucked up and now it melted your your disc or whatever.
oh what? Oh,
He
it
had
actually looked there too,
yeah, he had
did
an
it?
idea that it would just like it would kill your game and you wouldn't be able to play it anymore. I'm like, yeah, that's not very
Oh my
marketable, bro. Like no one's gonna buy
god,
that.
Jesus Christ.
It's cool.
But you want to like sell like I don't know an explosive? Like what is
I don't know.
that?
I don't know what it
What
would.
would
I
cause
think it
you
would
to
just like
do that?
lock your game, basically. Like you wouldn't be able to play it anymore. I don't think it was like set your game on fire. Like that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Just
like I'm
overclock your,
imagining the yeah,
just
I'm
spin
imagining like the like,
the disk drive, just
this
like
this message has concluded. This message will self-destruct in 10 seconds.
Inspector Gadget, some dude with
Yeah,
a mustache and a cigar. Like, ah, damn it!
is it not hiding in a trash can?
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Uh,
Well,
but
I think we've talked this thing through. Um,
yeah,
yeah, we like games, and
we do.
I think we
We
just
will
need it. We're just
continue
trying
to
to
talk
figure
about
out, yeah, how do we talk about these things, and um, you know, so yeah, think about these things, people. I got nothing. I
yeah,
don't
and
know how
if
to
you
end this.
have anything to add to what we've said today, if you've made it this far, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you. And if you have anything to add, please add a comment. We will read them and we will respond to them.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So just a quick review. We talked about side scrollers, turn-based games, first-person shooters or first-person games, third-person, and then management and RTS games. If you think there's
mhm,
anything we missed, um, yeah, let us know. It's like I said, it's weird because a lot of things cross pollinate in that
right.
way, especially when
Especially
you get
nowadays, the games are getting more advanced.
yeah more
They can
advanced,
do that.
more complicated.
Yeah,
I just want to hunt monsters, man. But yeah, uh, yeah, I guess that's it.
that's it.
All right, that's it. We're done. We did it.
Yep,
Thanks for
we did
stopping
it.
by and hanging out with
Thank you.
us. Okay,
Have a good one.
goodbye.